Activated, your window into how we can change the way in which we aspire for persons with disabilities, how we change our expectations from seeing inability to expecting ability. Activated takes us on a journey of taking lessons from persons with disabilities in how we must do things differently to unleash the contributions persons with disabilities can and must make to building a disability-inclusive Mzansi. Hello and welcome to Activated with me, your host, Taryn Tomlinson. The Bill of Rights of the South African Constitution places high value on the right to dignity. Yet, this is a right that is violated daily because of inaccessibility of the built environment, lack of accessible water and sanitation facilities, particularly in informal settlements. Physical reliance on others makes people with disabilities, particularly children, very vulnerable to physical and sexual violations. So, it is often the acts of solidarity where public servants, family members, and ordinary members of society go out of their way to innovate and to protect the right to dignity that makes a difference. In this episode, we gain a deeper understanding into how someone else's dignity depends on your acts of solidarity. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get activated. In today's show, we visit Lydia Linyatsi in Slovo Park and look at ideas on how the municipality and community can bring sanitation, dignity to people with disabilities living in informal settlements. Our studio guest is Justice Zach Yacoub, who will unpack how solidarity could and should play a role in changing the lived experiences of persons with disabilities. Portia Mavungu shows us the Paratube, a wheelchair seating system that allows persons with disabilities to use the toilet without having to be lifted out of their chair. In die alledaagse samelewing is die toegang tot publieke geriewe 'n fundamentele reg vir elke Suid-Afrikaner. Maar mense met gestremthede word meerendeels van hierdie reg ontneem. En vir vroue met gestremthede wat in informele nedersettings woon, is dit veel erger. The Struggle to be Ordinary, 'n plaaslike dokumentêr uitgereik deur die Socio-Economic Rights Institute of South Africa, beklemtoon die struikelblokke wat mense met gestremthede, veral vroue, elke dag in die informele nedersettings met basiese geriewe ondervind. Well-located housing continues to grow. Informal settlements expand on the outskirts of cities and towns across South Africa. In metropolitan areas, an estimated 1 in every 5 households live in an informal dwelling. Government emphasizes on eradicating informal settlements meant that many municipalities provided water and sanitation services intended as temporary or emergency measures. But 60% of informal settlements in Gauteng have been there for 5 to 10 years. Across the country, communal taps are shared by up to 50 households per tap. Chemical latrines, sometimes shared by hundreds of thousands per latrine, typically line the settlement peripheries and road servitudes. Apart from water and sanitation, formal electricity, health services, and emergency services are provided in only a few thousand of informal settlements that exist. The past years have shown that the only way forward is by upgrading informal settlements.
My name is Mangele. I'm living in Slovo Park. My mother came here in 1996 and I completed my matric in 2001 when I came here to live with my mother. They told her that I was disabled with the cerebral palsy. Sometimes when I walk, I lose my balance. Like when I take a step, if there's a stone or something, I fall easy.
Shared latrines also make particularly women and children more vulnerable to gender-based violence because they're inaccessible to the home. They present a security risk. Many informal settlements lack electricity, and so these shared facilities are not lit, making particularly women and children vulnerable to gender-based violence when they use them.
I feel to go, but sometimes I say it feels a risk. I never gonna go back because sometimes the children are sleepy. They're gonna think mommy's gonna come back, or my son will feel to go to the toilet. He used to say, "Mommy, wake up, help me, escort me to the toilet." I said, "No, man, even me, I'm so scared."
If I see Slow Park improving to upgrade more, flushing toilets, which is inside the house, which is more comfortable to use, and inside taps in the house also, and make life easier for us people with disabilities.
Dit is die daaglikse werklikheid van duisende mense met gestremdhede wat in die informele nedersettings woon en hoekom dit so belangrik is om die liefdadigheidsorganisasies te ondersteun. Na die kort advertentiebreek ontmoet ons vir regter Zak Yaqub, 'n voormalige hofregter wat met ons oor die reg op waardigheid vir mense met gestremdhede kom gesels. Ons is nou terug. Welcome back. Justice Zak Yaqub, a former Constitutional Court judge, has been a fierce advocate for the right to dignity for persons with disabilities. He was born on the 3rd of March 1948 and became blind at age 16 months because of meningitis. He married in 1970, has 2 adult children, and has lived in Durban almost all his life. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Justice Zak Yaqub. It's so great to have you with us today.
I'm very happy to be with you too. Good afternoon. I must say I traveled a very long distance to get there.
All the way through the internet. Justice, I'm going to jump right in it because we really would like to focus on the right to dignity when it comes to upholding the rights of persons with disabilities. How should we interpret the right to dignity?
The first step towards recognizing the dignity of the human being is to recognize that that person exists, to treat the person with care, to treat the person with reasonable accommodation, but basically to understand that disability or not, this person is a human being.
Absolutely. Justice, would you mind sharing with us some practical examples of how acts of solidarity have advanced your right to dignity over the years?
The acts of solidarity which helps me quite a lot is that people come to talk to me. People understand me. People understand that I need help. So if I'm standing at a road corner somewhere and people come and say to me, "Can I help you across the road?" I am more than happy because that is a wonderful act of solidarity. If there is a sign somewhere and I'm standing outside it, somebody comes along and says to me, "Can I read that sign to you?" Mm-hmm. If I am working in a particular environment, the act of solidarity would involve providing reasonable accommodation so as to ensure that I am able to do my work properly. And the acts of solidarity and the acts of help from people I have had, which expects nothing in return, have been absolutely amazing for me.
What else would you say is the most important action our viewers can take to ensure that we change the narrative, especially when it comes to, upholding the right to dignity, particularly?
This is also a two-way process because you also get people with disability who have weaknesses of their own, and you also get people with disability who are miserable human beings. So it is a two-way process, but mainly it is the duty of the people with disability to come to the party. It is the duty of the more powerful to come to the party in relation to powerless people. And that applies to everybody. It is the duty of light-skinned people to ensure that they come to the party of non-racism properly and appropriately. One needs to ensure that you don't overdo your power thing, and to make sure that it behave properly in relation to all people in society.
Justice Zach, is there any last words that you would like to leave with the people of South Africa?
Let us all contribute towards an existence of a totally, truly equal society. It's going to be hard work, but it's going to be work from which everyone will benefit equally. And my last message to people with disability is that our salvation lies with the salvation of everyone else.
Thank you so much, Justice Zach. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Wishing you a wonderful day further.
Thank you very much.
Lydia Lenyatsa is 'n ma van 3 wat al meer as 20 jaar in Slovo Park woon. As gevolg van 'n skoliose en kort liggaamsbou, moet sy op 'n krikke staat maak om rond te beweeg. Ons het 'n draai by haar gaan maak. Imagine being physically unable to travel to a communal toilet and soiling yourself waiting for help, or consuming less to avoid using toilet facilities outside the home. Each scenario scratches the surface of the daily struggles that the 1 billion people living with disabilities endure.
My naam is Lydia Lenyatsa. Ek is 37 jaar oud. Ek woon in Slovo Park en ek is al hier in Slovo Park al vir die afgelope 25 jaar. I have a disability which is called scoliosis, and I also have pulmonary lung disease. So I'm using also oxygen at home, and I have a cylinder and I have a machine at home. So when there's no electric, I use the cylinder. Sometimes I must put pots on the stove, there's no water. So I have to use a 5-liter bucket to go to the tap to get water. And I mean, it's a bit difficult because it's heavy and already I'm on crutches. En die aand is het baie gevaarlik om toilet toe te gaan, want het is baie donker. Vernaams nou as het so winter is. Van mense kan net so staan by die boom of by die hoek en die lyn is baie lank om uit die toilet uit te kom. En die kom kry in 1 jaar as 13 mense wat 1 toilet gebruik. En die toilette is soms nie reg nie, is morsig. So wie gaan elke keer agter ander mense skoonmaak? As die toilette gebreek is jou eie probleem. As die reën het wegvaai of wat gebeur, jy moet self sien wat gaan jy doen oor die saak. Jy sal maar bly sonder 'n toilet. I've been staying here since I was even schooling. And right now, I'm even having 3 kids. And I've brought them up in this situation. It's time to take action right now. Because we need delivery service, we need sanitation, we need water. Please, I would like to see a difference for the women and for the disability people. I would like to see running water in the houses and flushing toilets.
Na die advertentiebreek kyk ons na die eerste showerbath wat dit maklik en moontlik maak om mense met ernstige geestelike en fisiese gestremdhede te bad. Welkom terug. Om te stort of te bad is iets wat mense as vanselfsprekend beskou, maar vir iemand wat met 'n gestremdheid leef, kan hierdie basiese selfversorgingsoefening die uitdagendste deel van hul dag wees. Die ontwerp van buttons en storte maak dit baie moeilik vir persone met gestremdhede en versorgers om dit te gebruik. Zalde Robeck het die eerste showerbath bekendgestel, wat dit maklik en moontlik maak om individue met geestelike en fisiese gestremdhede te bad. Ons gaan loer in by haar.
I was called to help in an emergency, and a child was in the bath, the standard bath, which is very low, and she needed to be resuscitated. So I helped to lift her out, and I realized that we need to change how we bath our people and the facilities that we have. I thought about it and developed another system. We needed something at a height that is the same level as the dressing table. So once staff have the person out of the wheelchair, they are able to work at one level. They are able to work around an area and not stuck in a corner, which is what the other baths were. Now, this would never happen in a bath, a normal bath. She would be stuck in one position, and you do the best that you can with your hands around. So the shower bath is a unique development. It came out of necessity at Little Eden. It's actually very simple, but what a difference this has made, because this is a concrete prototype. We have like underfloor heating, but with warm water running through a closed loop. And that water is just pumped constantly to keep the concrete warm when the person is put in.
Little Eden cares for the most vulnerable in society, and through our values of respect, sanctity of life, and love and care, we can demonstrate this throughout the rest of society. And with the innovation of our Little Eden shower bath, the direct care of our residents and well-being of our staff is evident.
Ek raak baie opgewonde oor nuwe uitvindings, veral wanneer dit die lewe makliker maak vir mense met gestremdhede. Portia Mavungu is 'n ontwerper en wenner van die SAB Foundation toekenning, wat maandelang van 'n rolstoel gebruik moes maak na 'n ernstige motorongeluk. Portia came face to face with the challenges experienced by someone in a wheelchair when needing to use the toilet. But instead of accepting how things were, she designed and built the Paratube, a wheelchair seating system that allows a person with a disability to use the toilet without having to be lifted out of their wheelchair. The Paratube is aimed at providing dignity to a person who is a wheelchair user. Kom ons vind uit meer.
So when I was in a wheelchair, I saw a different side of the world. Now I needed help from my mother and granny to lift me off the wheelchair and put me onto the toilet. And that for me always was my sacred space. And now I went from being dependent to being dependent on these two really old people to help me just use something that we take for granted on an everyday basis, like a bathroom. But then going for physio and then learning how to start working again, I then thought to myself, I'm going to be in this situation for a short period of time. What about those that's going to come after me and be in a wheelchair as well? So I used to look at all the devices there was in the room, look at the catheter, look at the tubing, look at the bedpan, and I decided to put all of them together and come up with a device called the Paratube. So this is the Paratube, and how the Paratube works is a retrofitted seat. It fits onto any standard existing wheelchair, and it works together with disposable biodegradable bags. At the bottom, we have 4 clips on each edge. So these clips actually fit onto the pole on the wheelchair itself, so it retrofits onto it. So how this would work is, once a person is seated, you can sit for hours on end because the material of the seating is breathable, so it allows air to flow through so you don't sweat onto the wheelchair as well. And also the reason why we have we've removed the pressure points with the cushioning that's inside the seating, so it allows your lumbar spine, because I developed lumbar spine scoliosis from sitting on the wheelchair for hours on end. So all you do is, the entire concept was brought about as how the drawer would work. So we looked at something that's similar, that somebody would be able to use both back and front. So all you do is, you pull the centerpiece out, and then you have your middle compartment, which is your pouch. The pouch lifts up, and in the center of the middle compartment, you have your secondary bag. So the reason why we put in the secondary bag is, should anything fall out, it will always fall into the secondary bag, and it's easy to remove and wash off. So the secondary bag will automatically fall in like that. Yeah. Now, this will be your disposable bags. So in each bag, we try to put the concept of the nappy material. So the jelly, the same jelly that you get in your nappy bag, we converted it into a sachet. So whatever falls onto the sachet, it combusts and it traps in whatever has been put into it. So all you do is, you take your bag and you put it into the secondary bag. And then you use your strings to simply open the bag and it will hold it. So much more simpler when you do it. Okay, so once the bag is in, and then all this bag will do is it will slide back into the seating like so, and then you sit it on a toilet. You haven't moved, no one has helped you off the seating, you've put on lesser pressure on both you and your assistants. Once you're done with the seat, you just draw it back. You take the primary bag out, and then there will always be a string on the primary bag, so all you do is you tie it, like so, simple, and then you dispose of the bag. And then once you're done using this bag, all you have to do is just push the seat back in, and you're done.
We wish Portia all the best with her business. And on that note, we've come to the end of yet another episode of Activated. And as always, we leave you with a piece of art to feed your soul. Here is Bob 90 and the Beanos, an all-albino musical group in South Africa and the first in the whole country. Geniet julle dag. Tot volgende week. Selfde tyd. Slegs op SABC2. You belong. Tot ziens.